The fight between two military factions in Sudan is intensifying. Hundreds have died amid the unrest, and now several countries, including the U.S., are evacuating diplomatic personnel. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest.
After ceasefires collapsed, Sudan's capital, Khartoum, this morning is an open war zone. There's fighting in the streets and at the airport, which remains closed. There's no power or running water. Phone and internet service are largely down. It's a nightmare scenario as nations around the world struggle to evacuate personnel. France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and others carrying out successful flights, bringing out their citizens and some Americans. This weekend, the United States launched a rescue mission to the U.S. Embassy in Khartoum, which is now closed. U.S. Special Operations flying 800 miles from Djibouti to Sudan, landing just after midnight Sunday on the embassy grounds, where 3 Chinook helicopters evacuated 80 government personnel and their families. It took around an hour. There were no reports of injuries or incidents. But there are still roughly 16,000 American citizens in Sudan, many dual nationals. They're sheltering in place. For now, there are no plans for a mass rescue. Lakshmi Parthasarathi, an American travel writer, was visiting Sudan and is stuck. She managed to send us this video this morning.
The city is so tense right now. A lot of people are fleeing left and right. I can see the cars outside, and I'm actually making arrangements to try and get out as well to an area outside of the city that is safer. I have no power, running water, and the most difficult thing is that there's been internet blackouts. So I'm not feeling too great about the help that I've received from the embassy at the moment. So I am just preparing to go it alone and figure out how I can get myself to safety.
The fighting is over power. 2 of Sudan's top generals who took over in a coup and promised to transition to civilian rule are now battling among themselves for control of the country rich in oil and gold. There's a risk of state collapse and a return to civil war.
Joining us now, National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications at the White House, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral, can you tell us about the evacuations and how risky they were, and what now are the options for other Americans still in Sudan?
This was a very risky operation to get our diplomats out over the weekend, Mika. That's why we did it during a period of darkness. That's why we made it very clear to both warring factions what we were doing, and just as critically, what we weren't doing. We were simply going to get our diplomats out, and we urged them to let us do that safely. We made it clear that we would protect ourselves should we come under fire. But it was, no kidding, a dangerous operation, and obviously we're very grateful that it was able to be executed safely. Nobody hurt, nobody injured, and everybody out safely. Now, look, we are still looking at options. We've got military assets still in the region nearby should they be needed. But this is not the time to be conducting some sort of mass evacuation. You've seen the images coming out of Khartoum. It's very dangerous, very violent. And so for those Americans who didn't heed our warnings to get out and not to travel to Sudan, our best advice is stay sheltered in place, find a place that you can hunker down and stay safe, and do not walk the streets of Khartoum. We will keep you informed, and if you haven't reached out to the State Department, please do so. We'll do the best we can to keep you informed of conditions on the ground and guide you the best we can to other evacuation routes if possible. I would add, Mika, that several dozen Americans are now participating in a UN-led convoy on its way to Port Sudan. The United States military is providing overwatch through unmanned systems, unmanned aerial systems of that convoy, so we can keep tabs on it. And we're going to be positioning naval assets in the Red Sea off of Port Sudan in case they're going to be needed to help Americans that want to leave.
So, Admiral, help me understand something about the Americans who stayed there. First of all, love to know how many Americans are there, and secondly, why they're still there. This reminds me of Afghanistan, where Americans were warned in the harshest terms for 6 months to get out of Afghanistan. They didn't get out of Afghanistan, and then we had people screaming on other networks, you left people behind in Afghanistan. Of course, we won't talk about, we were very critical of Afghanistan, so I'm not giving anybody free pass here. I'm just asking, why do Americans continue to stay in these countries when they're warned repeatedly to get out? And how many Americans are still in Sudan?
You're right. We did really ramp up the warnings back in the fall in October, advising Americans again repeatedly not to travel to Sudan, and if you were, to get out, because the situation was deteriorating. And the fighting really just broke out a week ago Saturday, Joe, but it's very, very dangerous. Look, we don't know exactly how many Americans are in Sudan. They don't have to register with us and tell us that they are. There's estimates of more than 10,000, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 16,000 potentially. But it's important for people to remember that the vast majority of those are dual nationals. They have citizenship in the United States, but also in Sudan. And most of them grew up there. They have families there, businesses there. They work, they go to school there, and they have no intention of leaving or wanting to depart.
All right, understand completely. What are the dangers of Sudan and the unrest they're spreading throughout Sudan and beyond the borders?
That's a real concern. I mean, right now, these two warring factions are really going at it, mostly in Khartoum. There's fighting elsewhere in the country, but it's largely confined to Khartoum, and it's very, very violent. But this could erupt into a civil war. And, of course, Sudan is a very big country on the African continent, surrounded by 7 neighbors, and it's possible that this could spread elsewhere. We're also seeing signs that potentially other partners who have interests inimical to ours and to the Sudanese people are trying to maybe get involved and tipping the scales one side or the other. We have been very clear with both military leaders. This is the time to put the weapons down, abide by the ceasefires you both say you want, and let's get a transition to civilian authority in Sudan, because that's what the Sudanese people want.
There's a report out that Russia is filling America's void in Africa. The Wagner Group is moving aggressively to establish a confederation of anti-Western states in Africa as Russian mercenaries foment instability while using paramilitary and disinformation capabilities to bolster Moscow's allies. That, of course, was part of what was leaked there. We've seen China trying to get a one-up on us in Africa for 15 years now. Now the Washington Post reporting that the Russians are doing the same there. And I suspect if the United States doesn't start moving more aggressively, diplomatically, we're going to see chaos like this for some time to come. What's our plan? I know the vice president was just over there. That was an important trip. Does the United States plan, does my administration plan to have a much more active presence in Africa moving forward diplomatically?
We absolutely are, Joe. In fact, we've got that motion in train right now. You mentioned the vice president's trip. The president plans to be going to Africa here in the not too distant future. We just hosted back in December the African Leaders Summit, and before that summit was even over, designated an individual, a special envoy, to work on the implementation of all the coordination efforts that we put forth in that Leaders Summit, whether it's climate change, food security, energy security, technology, innovation, all those things. We're investing very heavily in the African continent. We're going to continue to do that because we know, as you just said, that Russia and China would like nothing better than to diminish our influence on the African continent for their own selfish purposes. And the African nations, Joe, they're waking up to this. Many countries that signed on to these Chinese loans, and now the interest is coming due and they can't pay it, and the Chinese are saying, well, I guess we're going to have to take this or that from you. I mean, people are starting to wake up to the truly selfish interest of Russia and China in the continent.
Admiral, we'd love to talk to you about Ukraine. There's new reporting on a possible spring counteroffensive from Ukrainian forces. This is the Wall Street Journal reporting that Ukraine is now preparing to dislodge Russian forces from entrenched positions in a bid to regain land. The Journal notes that while Russia controls 18% of Ukraine's territory, it's not known where exactly Ukraine will move to expel Russian forces or when. According to one Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's advisors, 3 factors will determine how a counteroffensive would unfold: the availability of equipment, the availability of troops, and the destruction of Russian assets. Meanwhile, ahead of that anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive, Russian troops are reportedly evacuating civilians from occupied areas of the south, including near the city of Kherson. A Ukrainian official tells the New York Times troops are forcibly relocating people, possibly indicating that Moscow could be preparing to further withdraw from the region.
Admiral, as the spring counteroffensive starts to come about, Is that your read? What we saw there, that evacuations are beginning in areas around Kherson because the Russians are planning to evacuate?
Yeah, we're seeing similar reports, and this isn't evacuating citizens. This is forcibly moving them and relocating them. We're seeing some similar reports. We still have to get a little bit more context on this, but that is absolutely not unusual for the Russians to do, to move in, to claim that they're looking after the safety and security of civilians, Ukrainians that live in these towns, when really they're just forcing them out because they want to start moving on them militarily. But look, you're right. The Ukrainians have said that they want to conduct some counteroffensive operations in the spring and the weeks and months ahead. We want to make sure that they're successful in doing that. So just last week, another $325 million worth of equipment, ammunition, and some logistical equipment to help them do that. We're training battalions, whole battalions of Ukrainian soldiers outside the country on something called combined arms maneuver, where you integrate infantry, mechanized infantry with armor capabilities and air defense so that they can operate in open terrain and really take back more of their country from the Russians across that whole arc from east to south. Now, where they go and when they go, all that's going to be up for President Zelensky to determine. But we're doing everything we can with allies and partners to make sure they're ready for that.